Hi, I'm Nathan with F&M, here with a heat press hack. Today we're looking at how you decorate split front baseball jerseys. Might seem easy, just lay it in the press and press it, right? Well, you got buttons and you have seams to deal with when you have a split front baseball jersey. So how do you navigate those buttons? How do you go over the high point of the seams? We're going to show you in this video. First thing I'm going to do is take my graphic and just set it aside here. And I'm going to lay out my shirt and I'm going to work my graphic around the buttons. So with the shirt buttoned together and it lying flat, I'm going to take my graphic, your transfer, and then a way to find the center of the transfer is a simple trick here. You just take it, fold it edge to edge, find the middle, put a little crease in the top middle of that. That helps you find a nice little center point. And then it's sometimes confusing when you're looking at a jersey like this because you have buttons and you have seams. Visually it's hard to keep track of where the center is. That's why we put our crease here. We put it right between our buttons. Now, when you're shopping for blanks, these split front blanks, you want to make sure you find one that has buttons that are gapped wider on the top chest plate so that you can put a word mark in for your team logo. If you don't have the spacing down, you might order a transfer that doesn't fit. So make sure you do the research beforehand to make sure you know the spacing and then size your graphic to fit within that space. So now that my graphic in here is sized up, I'm going to take my pair of scissors here and I'm going to use this seam just as a guide to slide along and cut the graphic carefully. Cutting right through the transfer, cutting right through the ink, edge to edge there. So now I have two transfers that I can press on either side. Now I'm going to set these aside and we're going to open up our garment. So we can unbutton it now. We have to address the seam issue. So if you look on the underside, I have this seam here, and I have the fabric folded over. So it's thicker here than it is here. To combat that, I'm going to take a t-shirt, lay the t-shirt down here over the side, and I'm going to do a quick press just to flatten it out. And now we're going to load our t-shirt over top of it. So working upside down, top towards you, we're going to lay our shirt over, and I picked a bright shirt so I can help find where that shirt matches up against the seam. Now the reason I'm putting a t-shirt under here is I don't want to have my print area higher over the seam than it is here. So when I put pressure on it, we're trying to avoid strike through or grin through. When there's pressure, because there's a thicker area and a thinner area, you tend to get a score mark in your ink over top of that seam. So now I can take my graphic, and I'll line it up right against the edge here. You go right to the edge, and we're ready to press it. I'm using an Athletic Formula heat transfer, which applies at 325 degrees. It's designed for polyester garments. And I'm going to peel it off. So I got a beautiful application there, right up to the edge. And now we're going to take our shirt out. We're going to flip it to the other side. And let's go to our button side. Uh-oh, we have a challenge here. We have buttons and we have a seam. How do we deal with that? Well, what I would recommend is you order an extra silicone pad. You can get those from a heat transfer manufacturer or a press manufacturer. You can order those, and you recommend you get a pair of scissors and you cut it down to size inside of your image. If you're in a jam and you don't have time to do that, here's a quick hack. You can get a mouse pad. Just get one that has a pretty good durometer, it's thick, and bounces back. It has good tension, it's not too soft. I already cut one down to size for the sake of this video. You can cut it down to size to fit within your buttons. That keeps the imprint area elevated away from your buttons. So I'm going to set this up now. We're going to take our pad. We're going to line it up in here. And so what I want is my seam to come right along this edge. So I'm going to pull it over. We're going to let it fall in there. And now I'm going to wrap my jersey around. I'm just going to match up my seam here. Look at these two buttons. So I'm going to take this. We are just buttoning it for placement here. Try to take the bunch out of it to get it smooth, and we're going to line up our other side of our graphic. So we're going to come in here Make sure it is alignment. Now make sure you have good lighting so you can see the transfer through. And we're going to unbutton it and take this part out of the way. I take my excess out of the picture. Make sure we're flat. Make sure we're not dealing with a seam issue on our jersey. And we just want to adjust it so that our button here falls off the edge of the piece that we cut to protect it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to back my pressure off a little bit because I put that extra thickness in there. And we're going to close it and do another application. 7 seconds. Again, 325 for polyester garments, and then we'll peel this hot. Now, you look at this application, you can see there's a gap here, and the gap's there because when you overlap the split front, it's going to be perfectly aligned for us. I'll just button it here really quickly. I'll hold it up so that you can see it. There's 2 buttons. Here it is, a custom screen printed heat transfer applied to a split front baseball jersey. If you're doing a project like this, make sure you budget your time for application. The reason these things cost more is not just because the jersey costs a bit more, because it is also a little more time consuming to decorate. So factor that in when you're pricing projects like this. For more heat press hacks, you can visit us online at fmexpressions.com.